because they're both crushing it. And I don't know how this turns out. You know I love Sam. I don't know how it turns out. But let's be clear. He ate San Francisco's defense for lunch without his number one tight end, without his number two receiver, and then his number one receiver, Justin Jefferson, got hurt. So you saw all of Sam's best traits. He's an athlete. He's a big, strong athlete. He's tough. He'll take a shot. He's got a big arm. He's willing to take big swings and throw the ball down the field. He had a pick, but Fred Warner makes that pick. I doubt any other linebacker in the league makes that pick. And so, again, what does it prove? How will it turn out? I don't know. It does prove that young people need help. Everybody needs help. Nobody does it on an island. Even Mahomes hasn't played particularly great football. You need help. 95% of the quarterbacks in this league are just not gifted enough to overcome nonsense. And, in New York and in Carolina, nothing but nonsense. Sam's not that talented. Then he goes to San Francisco, and the coaches reportedly loved him. Kevin O'Connell calls Kyle Shanahan. Kyle's like, we loved him. If it wasn't for Purdy, we'd start him. And then he goes to Minnesota, again, with a competent franchise, a great offensive coach. He is crushing it. So, playing quarterback in the NFL is like quantum mechanics. People have no idea what it is or what it takes. You just don't know until you've done it, and almost none of us could do it. And I mean almost none of it. But what you do need is a really good professor to teach you how to do it, unless you're like a genius, and there are not many of those, or unless you're John Elway, and there are not many of those. But what I saw yesterday was a quarterback that just was desperate for competency from an organization. And the Jets and Panthers could not deliver that. And then a sharp offensive coach who can elevate Sam's strengths and then hide his weaknesses. He can be a bit impulsive. There are times he can be, little Carson Wentz, he can be a little reckless. He can run into trouble, throw ugly picks in the red zone. Now, yesterday was just Fred Warner being Fred Warner, but here's Kevin O'Connell on Darnold's big game.
That is big-time quarterback play.
Sure.
All those folks out there that want some examples of it, I think we got 2 weeks of some pretty tangible examples of some quarterback play from Sam Darnold. I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, it was really good. So here's week 3. Remember, we looked at the schedule for Minnesota, and we're like, well, middle and end, they got a shot. And I had said, I don't know where you had them, J-Mac, but I had said, if they finish 4th, this is the greatest offensive group that has ever finished in 4th place in the National Football League. They're missing pieces and lighting up the Niners. I mean, they didn't have their number 1 tight end, their number 2 receiver, and Justin Jefferson got hurt. So congrats to Minnesota. That schedule does not get much easier for the Vikings. But if you look at the week 3 schedule, Thursday, by the way, I saw the Jets-Patriot line. I like the Jets on that line.
Okay, well, now they're not going to talk about the Vikings anymore. So listen, I got to do a little bit of a victory lap. First off, Colin Cowherd deserves so much credit here for talking about Sam Darnold for years. He's taken a lot of heat over that. I have not been making videos for years, so Colin really deserves to do a victory lap more than anything. And I agree. I have no idea what the ceiling is, and unfortunately now there are some true injuries that they have to manage. I mean, missing Justin Jefferson is massive. That's going to affect how far this team can go. And same thing with some of the other injuries. I don't know what the trajectory is for them. Personally, I really don't. But I do really want to talk about this game and some of the things that I saw. But I also got to point out a few things because I took a lot of heat for some of these videos, okay? And I made a lot of them. I made a lot of Minnesota Vikings videos. And we're not going to watch them, obviously, but I just want to go through the titles. Colin, and this was something. Confident Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings will shock the NFL, okay? And I talked all about this June 12th, okay? Confident Minnesota Vikings can win with Sam Darnold over J.J. McCarthy. Sam Darnold will start over J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings, shocking everyone with success. Minnesota Vikings can be true contenders with Sam Darnold. Don't panic. Those are my words. Minnesota Vikings are win now team. Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy. And then Sam Darnold, this was my prediction, Sam Darnold will dominate with Minnesota Vikings versus New York Giants week 1. So, yeah. I've been talking about this for months, like literally since June, and I even last year when I saw Sam Darnold with the 49ers, I was like, okay, there's something here with that is real. So this is just so awesome to see. And again, I have no idea, right? Like they can get smoked by the Texans this coming week, and then everybody like, oh, you did your victory lap too soon. Again, injuries are tough. We just don't know. How far a team like this can go. What is even Sam Darnold's ceiling? Everybody thought they knew, but you really don't. I mean, he looks so mobile, way more athletic and mobile than I think anyone really understood within his career. Kevin O'Connell with Sam Darnold, but just Kevin O'Connell in general, right? It's just such balanced play calling. That is one of the big things I look for when I'm watching these games. Is the play calling balance? And we don't even have to talk about some of the other big moments in that game, like block punt, any of those little things, because the Minnesota Vikings just made everything difficult for the 49ers, right? Especially defensively, offensively. They made it difficult for the offense for the 49ers. Just everything was difficult. They established the run, which I thought was obviously great. I'm a huge fan of like actually having a run game, and we see around the league some of these teams like getting like 40, 50, 60, 70 yards in a run game, and it's just not enough for me for it's not a sustainable game plan to me personally. You're just relying too much on your quarterback from that regard, and it just never goes well. But just Sam Darnold and the Vikings as a whole, start to finish, they were in control the entire game, both offensively, defensively, and of course from the quarterback position. And Sam Darnold, the other thing that really stood out to me is because you're going to let him loose versus the Giants, because the Giants are the Giants. They're just not a good team. We know the 49ers are a good team. We know the 49ers are a top team. Whether you want to say that they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we know they're a good team, right? We know that they are a top team in the NFL. They have great team. They're highly well coached. Like they're not some scrub. They're not the New York Giants, right? So no matter what you think of the 49ers, you know that they're just not bottom of the barrel. And in that moment, it was clear that Kevin O'Connell is not babying Sam Darnold, right? They're not babying him like he is a backup quarterback, right? They're not trying to be like, all right, like you saw what they did, what the Packers did with Malik Willis, for instance, right? They had to baby him. They had to work around him. Don't get me wrong, he stepped up too, and that'll be another game that I'll be talking about. But, there was training wheels in that game. There's no training wheels for Sam Darnold. He's being treated as a legitimate starting quarterback. And it's clear as day. You can see the play calling. You can see the throws that he's making. I mean, my God, that 97-yard touchdown, 99, I forget exactly what the number ended up being. But my God, I mean, that's insane. I mean, that was one of the most insane things I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. The play call was unbelievable. The throw was unbelievable. The catch, the confidence. I mean, it was just, no matter how you slice it, was awesome. It was just, I mean, how can you watch that and not be like, that was amazing? You just can't. I mean, unless you're just the biggest hater, or maybe if you're like a Chicago Bears fan or something. It was just unbelievable. And he spreads the ball around, because also times when you see this with quarterbacks who are just not comfortable, not confident, they get a connection with a player or two, and that's who they really rely on. And obviously you're going to rely on someone like a Jefferson, and I know he went down, but the ball was spread. That's another thing that I really look for is all the offense coming from like just one side, right? Is it too dominated by one or two players? And that's when I look at the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, right? It's too centered around one thing. And before CD was even a thing yet, it was really all around like Zeke. And it was like, well, if all your production is only coming from this one side, it's just too unbalanced, right? You're literally going to topple. It's just not going to work. The ball is being spread, establishing the run, really balanced play calling. It's football is very simple. We don't have to complicate it much more than that. And then when you can actually execute those things, boom. I mean, this is what you get. And this score could have been way higher even. And it was a great interception. Yeah, I mean, listen, do you want to see Sam Darnold maybe technically make a better decision in that moment? Sure, but hardly anything that you really have to focus on. But yeah, I just think this was great. so many backup quarterbacks. It looks like they're just trying to survive. That they're just trying to survive. They're just trying to get by. They have the training wheels on. Some of their success you can explain by like, well, yeah, there was a missed tackle, which then the guy was able to rip off a 50-yard run. Well, look at his run game. They ran for 300 yards. They're playing all bad teams. Like a lot of times when you see these backup quarterbacks go on runs, like you can just see concrete things, right? You can see things that are clearly not sustainable or misleading. There's nothing misleading about what Sam Darnold's doing with the Vikings. Nothing. It is absolutely for real. And it's going to be exciting to see. It's going to be exciting to see this continue to play out. I think they are in the the Packers are 1-1. The Bears are 1-1. And the Lions are 1-1. And that means that the Vikings are 2-0, which means they are leading the division. Will they maintain that way? Listen, I don't think the Lions look that good right now. And I've been very high on the Lions. Sorry, Minnesota Viking fans. I think the Lions are a top team, but they're not playing like a top team right now. Not even close. Not even close. I know the Bucs fans want to take a lot of credit for that win, which I'll also talk in another video. But the Bucs deserve to win that game, and it was more about them winning than the Lions losing. But the Lions do not look good. They did not look good against the Rams at the end of the day, and they do not look good against the Bucs. The Bears. Nick Wright thinking that those Bears are going to the Super Bowl. Not looking like that's happening too well. The Packers are a very tough team to gauge because obviously Jordan Love went down. You know, I think the Packers are a great team and a top team as well in the NFL, but this is no cakewalk. So I think the Vikings truly can continue to compete at this point, compete for the division, and at the very minimum, compete for the wild card, right? At the minimum. So exciting times if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan. And Sam, you trust. And yeah, I really can't wait to see how this continues to unfold. It's going to be a tough game. I think they're playing the Texans, I think is what the schedule said, if memory serves me correctly. That should be a hard game. That's definitely not going to be easy, but yeah, just good times ahead. I can't wait. I really can't. Football is so great. It's so great. I love it. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Vikings and Sam Darnold? What do you think their ceiling is? Do you think that they can like legitimately make a true bona fide run? Do you think this is more fool's gold? Do you think this is misleading in any kind of way? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.